So in full disclosure, when I record these podcasts, I typically start in the morning, take a break about halfway through, eat lunch, and then come back. Usually I have something ready. Sometimes I go out and get something and come back. I will tell you what we're going to look at this week in the top 5, I would never get. Top 5 fast food fails of the 1970s. Back in episode 118, I did a segment on 1980s fast food fails. It's interesting, there are way more fails as far as food items go in the 80s, and soon I'll be doing one on the 90s, 2000s. It's different in the 70s. It's like fast food was very basic and they didn't really get outside of the lane that they were in, whatever their restaurant was, McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, Taco Bell. So less straying from their path means less fails as far as food items go, but I got enough here. As with most of the top 5s, there are some honorable mentions, and the top 5 itself is in no particular order. I'll quickly go through the honorable mentions because I'm figuring a lot of you probably will have not heard of most of these things. So, honorable mentions for fast food fails of the 70s include McDonald's onion nuggets. You think French fries are good, you think onion rings are good. How about chunks of onion? That's basically what this was, and it did not last. There was the Hardee's roast beef sandwich trying to compete with Arby's, and it was not popular. There was the Taco Bell Bell Beefer, which was essentially a sloppy Joe. This was also in the 1980s video because even though it wasn't that popular, it did cross 2 decades, and that made it an easy fail for both. And the final honorable mention is the Jack in the Box French fries onion rings mix. Having worked in restaurants for years, I could see where people would be hoping for this to be a fail that worked at Jack in the Box. Going back many, many years, we had one guy come into the restaurant where I worked, and he happened to ask if he could get a half French fries, half onion rings mix. And we made the mistake of saying, sure. Why is that a mistake? Because then every time he came back in, he got the same thing, and he could always say, but you did it last time. It's the dreaded words. But I digress. That is the honorable mentions section here. Let's get into the actual top 5. And again, they're in no particular order. We're going to start it off with number 1, McSpaghetti. Oh boy, I don't know where to start with this. In short, it's a spaghetti meal from McDonald's. It debuted in 1970. It was discontinued by the end of the 70s, but it's not gone. It's actually still served and still popular in the Philippines. In the old days, it would come in one of those clamshell boxes. Inside, there was typically linguine, fettuccine, some pasta like that, sauce, meatballs if you wanted it, cheese. It sounds all well and good, but how many people would go to McDonald's to get spaghetti? You can appreciate McDonald's getting out of their comfort zone a little, but that's where McSpaghetti comes from, and McHotdog, and McPizza, and McFailures. I do find it crazy that it's still served and still popular in the Philippines. I don't know what it would be about McSpaghetti that they would like over there. I don't know. If it was me, if I had a choice between authentic Asian noodles, like a dish with that, or McSpaghetti, I'd take the Asian noodles every time. Number 2 is Kentucky roast beef. This is the first of 2 where it's not necessarily a food item fail, it's a food franchise fail. If Kentucky roast beef sounds a little familiar, it's because Kentucky Fried Chicken decided to diversify and open a chain of roast beef restaurants. These spin-off restaurants started in 1968, and they closed all of them in 1970. The tie-in to KFC was the fact that the roast beef had the same herbs and spices as the Colonel's chicken. The restaurants themselves didn't do too badly, but it came down to, yes, popularity. If you're going to go to KFC or KRB, you take the KFC. But it was also hard to make freshly made roast beef in the restaurant. anyone that's worked in restaurants knows how long you have to cook a roast beef to do it right. As I said, by the end of 1970, all of the Kentucky roast beef restaurants had been closed, with some of them just being sold off and made into other restaurants, other businesses, and some being converted into Kentucky Fried Chicken. Number 3 is the Burger Chef Works Bar.
Burger Chef, you're incredibly new!
Everyone likes our new Works Bar, Jeff, where you can fix your own burger.
The way you like them!
And we still serve them ready to eat.
Self-serve buffet-style burger toppings. What could go wrong? Burger Chef at one point was the second largest fast food franchise in the country. Burger Chef and Jeff ads. The franchise itself went out of business in 1983, sold to Hardee's. But at this time in the 70s, they were still riding high with 1,000 locations. The main problem with the Burger Chef Works Bar was keeping it clean, keeping it stocked, keeping it sanitary. You'd like to think that most people would either use salad tongs and not just drop things everywhere. But come on, you know the reality. People are putting their bare hands in. People are probably sampling some and putting back half-eaten stuff. You know that's happened. Dropping tomatoes and onions and pickles all over the floor, squirting ketchup everywhere. It just became too much of a hassle to allow people to stack their own burger with all that stuff. So yeah, people had to go back to asking for extra stuff on their burgers from the actual people taking their order. Number 4 is the BK Yumbo sandwich.
Burger King would like to introduce a new word to the English language. Yumbo.
Yumbo?
Yumbo. A hot ham and cheese sandwich often known to cause insatiable desire in those who come near it. Found only at participating Burger King restaurants.
What was the Yumbo? It was Burger King's hot ham and cheese sandwich on one of those longer submarine buns. You know, the ones that they do the chicken sandwiches on? Come on, you can picture it in your head. Much like the Kentucky roast beef or mixed spaghetti, this was another company getting out of their comfort zone. How many of you would go to a fast food restaurant for a hot ham and cheese sandwich? It makes as little sense as when McDonald's did the hula burger. That was a burger with no meat. It was a slice of pineapple and cheese. Ugh. That was 60s. When we do 60s fast food fails, you'll hear about the hula burger. The BK Yumbo only lasted a couple of years. It was discontinued in 1974. They actually had it make a comeback 40 years later in 2014, but it didn't do much better. Nostalgia hit for a little while, and then you realize you're going to Burger King for hot ham and cheese, and it's like, never mind. And finally, number 5 on the list of top 5 fast food fails of the 1970s, it's the Hickory Bell restaurants. This is one much like Kentucky roast beef. Part of the more famous franchise's name is in this name. Hickory Bell was an offshoot of Taco Bell restaurants. This was a Western-style barbecue restaurant founded in 1970. What I could see in my research for this is that there were not that many Hickory Bell restaurants, and they faded away within a few years. Because just because someone goes to Taco Bell doesn't mean they're going to go to a Western-style barbecue restaurant owned by the same company. So I don't think there was much cross-pollination. And then what really made Hickory Bell special? You could probably go to more specialized barbecue places and get much better food. But there you have it. Some of the fast food fails of the 1970s. Which of these surprised you the most? And those of you that are of that age, did you try any of those? When I look at the list with the honorable mentions, I think the only thing I'd probably try is the French fries onion rings mix. I wouldn't want onion nuggets.